Life's a gamble, I roll dice. Bet against me, I roll twice. I done beat the odds my whole life. I said I'm ready for greatness.
Shit, Dave.
We're back with another episode of Autonomous Podcast. I'm your host, Damian Jackson, just me and the AI doing this fucking thing. Let's go. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about free speech. Why? Because your man Eminem decided to align himself with the Democratic Party publicly. He decided to align himself with them. He came out and introduced Barack Obama, of all people, at the Kamala Harris's campaign rally. If I'm not mistaken, October 22nd? So, it's October 21st, one of those days. I can't remember off the top of my head. I just thought it was funny because the speech in which he spoke from was, of course, pre-written. He literally wrote down, or he literally looked at it and stuff and said, I had a speech prepared for this or whatever, which is interesting enough because, you know, Eminem is a backpack battle rapper freestyler. Yet he needed a prepared speech? No. You're dealing with the type of people in the organization in which they're not just going to let you say what the fuck you actually want to say. They're not going to do that. You can argue that both parties will do the same thing too. You're not just about to get up there and just say whatever. Do you think the campaign manager is going to let that shit happen? Fuck no. So it was a prepared speech for him to say what he was going to say. And then you have to think, what does he actually want to say, or what policies, what the fuck politically can he say that would align with the Democratic Party? And he came out there and said he's an advocate of free speech and he doesn't want any retribution towards free speech. And we'll get into that because it's the theme of today's topic. So he's saying those different things, but he's with the Democratic Party, the same party that did not give a fuck about your free speech, my free speech, nobody's free speech when it came to talk about COVID. When you didn't want to get the fucking vaccine, where was free speech then? Right? So let's not even go into that conversation of how contradicting and hypocritical, that whole thing was. Then he brought out Obama, and we know what he does with drones and stuff. So do these people actually care about free speech? And then you'll say, well, the conservative or the Republican Party don't care about free speech either. None of government does. Free speech is not what people actually want. Let's be honest. People don't want free speech. People want free speech in the sense of you can say what you want to say as long as it doesn't hurt my fucking feelings. But if what you say hurts my feelings, then I don't want you to say it. As opposed to, hey, you can actually say whatever you want to say. People get mad at racist, Ku Klux Klan, Nazi, these words that we like to throw out there, and these organizations that are still existing, although it's hard to fucking find them, but, you know, playing Where's Waldo, y'all don't even remember that shit. So as we try to do Carmen Sandiego and find these different groups stuff, they still have free speech. I'm an advocate of free speech. And when I say I am an advocate of free speech, I am all for free speech. I mean that shit across the fucking board. It doesn't matter who you are. If you want to say something about me in which you fucking hate me, you don't like my skin tone, you don't like my spirituality, my religion, you don't like my sexuality, you don't like none of that shit, and you say it to me, that's my problem. Because if I allow you to upset me or get me out of my character or have a fucking crash out moment, that's just me. That's me. Because I shouldn't feel any type of way, especially coming from a stranger. And the reality is we're human. So if I do, it happens all the time. I'm on social media. If I say something to someone in a comment section or in a video, my shit will get taken down on particular apps. But if someone says something to me about me, someone calls me stupid, someone attacks me personally, it's nothing. That's the reality of the situation. So free speech and retribution, the retribution really just comes from each other. You can say what you want to say, but will there be consequences? It's not necessarily consequences. It's Are you prepared to handle whatever reaction or action comes about from what you said? You have to think about it. I tell this to my kids, you gotta be careful about the energy you put out there into the universe. If you put out that negative energy, well, the universe is listening and it's gonna attract, or you're gonna draw in negative energy because you put that shit out there. So the universe is like, oh, you must like this negative shit, so here you go. And then at times you don't put it out there, but yet people will try to project their negative energy onto you, not because it's necessarily about you, but they just see something in which that they don't like. It's more of an internal projection for them. So we don't want to hear homophobic slurs. We don't want to hear racial slurs. We don't want to hear none of these things. But the reality is, if we want free speech, then we should be able to hear all those things. Because we can also bring up the fact that you can say whatever you want to say, but as long as you don't fucking touch me, we're still at least on some type of terms in which it's not about to get violent and we're not about to affect anyone's lives. But then you bring up the fact that if you do say something to someone, they'll call it bullying or virtual bullying or whatever fucking terms they want to throw up and make up all of a sudden now. So say you're verbally abusing someone or verbally bullying someone, and that person turns around and decides to end their life and take their life because they couldn't, in a sense, handle what was being done to them. That's free speech still. And people will look at that situation and be like, see, we got to stop things like that because it affects another person's life. But I'll be honest with you, we have to look at ourselves internally and ask the question, why, what this person is saying to me, why is it affecting me so much? That's why I tell my kids, I'm like, if someone tells you a word, someone gets in your face, someone says something to you, you have to ask yourself, why is it bothering you? If someone calls you ugly, fat, tall, skinny, you're too dark, you're too light, whatever thing that they want to call you, you have to ask yourself, why is it bothering you? Where's your self-confidence? So in a society, in an autonomous society, free speech has to be across the board because every individual has their own thoughts. And if they want to voice their opinion, they can voice their opinion. Now, when it becomes a moment of their voicing their opinion directly towards someone, well, what happens? That person has the right to voice their opinion back in defense because they're protecting themselves from a verbal perspective. But then you don't want to escalate into something physical. Or will it? We have to be able to recognize that in American society, because I'll, focus on that because this is obviously where I live at. So we'll focus on that. In American society, in a society that's so-called built upon free speech, we don't have discourse. We don't know how to just disagree with each other. We don't know conflict resolution. A lot of people don't know how to just disagree and go on about their fucking life. We can go back and forth with something, but at some point, I could just say, I'm done with this and walk away and be done with it. Because not really often will it become physical. Not often will it become something in which you want to go off and hurt somebody. But if I react negatively towards those verbal assaults, those, all the different words being thrown at me and stuff, if I react a certain way and I internalize it and I harm myself, that just highlights the issue that I have with myself, right? It's internal. When we talk about spirituality and things like that, it's internal. You can call it Buddhism. You can throw whatever thing you want to throw out there. Christ consciousness. Internal. Why would I let that outward reality affect me internally, affect my spirit, my conscious being from within? Unless there's already something going on within myself that I'm battling and struggling with. And I allow someone to contribute to that. Or I projected my negative energy out into reality, into the universe, and the universe will look back at me and answer that shit. And I know that goes over some of y'all heads, but you'll get it. You do get it. Free speech in a society is, I don't want to necessarily say that is necessary. Funny how I phrase that. But if you're going to have an autonomous society, if you're going to have a society built on individuality, if you're going to have an open, free society that's evolving into a civilization, free speech has to be one of the foundational structures of that society, of that civilization. Free speech is something that helps keeps us or keep each other in check. I could say some off the wall shit and someone wants to come back at me, but that helps keeps me in check. Majority of the time, 9 out of 10 times, I don't even need that because I already know what people are going to say anyway, because, well, a lot of people are NPCs, so they copy and paste their responses. But it still helps me see another perspective. It still helps me think about things. It helps me dive deep into my thoughts. I make sure that I really think before I speak because other people have free speech and they'll come back at me. Oftentimes on social media, they'll come and attack me personally, which I don't necessarily like, but I learned to deal with it, to not let it affect me as much. Will it have some effect on me? To an extent. Be honest with you. Maybe 30 minutes to an hour, then I forget about it and go on to something else because there's other shit to do. Prime example. As I opened up today's episode talking about Eminem and stuff, and the video that I made, people got pissed off about it. I trigger motherfuckers, man. My presence triggers people. The essence of who I am triggers people. My confidence triggers people. The fact that I'm sitting here in my bedroom making music, creating videos, streaming, all this other stuff, doing a podcast, triggers people. Why? Because they don't have the confidence to do it themselves. They pussy. They weak. That's not my problem, right? For me to even say that stuff, like how fucked up am I? I'm an asshole. I like to say shit. Y'all think it's funny. And they'll probably fuck with you. And I'm trying to make sure my kids don't kind of have that same type of mentality or whatever, but I don't know, man. I can see it in them. But it's by choice. So if you hear what I say and they grow up and you hear what they say and stuff and they put it out there, yeah, we're this way by choice. It is what it is. But as I made that video and I talked about Eminem and then bringing up a situation of basically him being contradictory and a hypocrite as talking about free speech and aligning himself with the Democratic Party. Meanwhile, he was also friends with Trump and or at least associates, cool enough to have him on stage with him and stuff at his shady convention in 2004, the same year that Encore was released, in which the album had the song Mosh and We As Americans, which talked about Second Amendment rights. People don't remember that shit though, right? People don't remember those things. So I like to bring this up in this discourse because when someone attacks me based on the video that I put out there and it triggered them, I'm ready to have these talking points. I'm ready to have these, to debate these facts and really kind of break down the narrative which has been crafted in recent times because a lot of people like to forget things. And that's what the government, these politicians count on us forgetting. So as I talked about that in that video, instead of people just disagreeing, they have to disagree and then attack me. Even if I call someone stupid, I'm speaking to the hypothetical you. It's not actually to anyone personally, but I know people will resonate with that. Why? Because people are fucking stupid. I can call someone stupid and not call no one stupid, but yet someone will still feel personally attacked because it's not my problem. It has nothing to do with me. It's so even if you try to attack someone personally, it doesn't even matter because it's all internal. It's all internal. But as I post certain content, and usually when it's political, it does affect people to an extent where they feel like they're being attacked. Their reality is being disrupted and stuff. So instead of them internalizing it and thinking about, hey, what's going on? And they lash out, they crash out. And then they want to attack you verbally. And in extreme cases, physically. But they want to attack you, for the most part, not. A lot of people are pussy in real life. They're not. A lot of people, conflict resolution, people don't want to deal with those conflicts, right? People don't want to deal with those things, which is good because you don't need to go that far anyways. Because anytime you get ready to fight, you got to be prepared to put your life on the line. That's how I see it as. That's how I see it as. Because you can something can happen and one punch, something like that. One punch, man. Get punched in the head. I don't know. Something can happen. You fall. And the next thing you know, you're dead or some shit like that. But people want free speech until it's negative. The second it's negative, then they don't want to deal with it because people don't know how to deal with negativity. People do not know how to do it to have conflict resolution, rather. So throughout the comments section of that video, and I'm just using that video as an example, but a lot of videos and content things I put out. Hell, I put out music. Hell, I could put out gaming content on my gaming account. People will still be like, oh, you suck. Oh, you're this. Oh, this and that. Oh, well, you should have did this. Hey, you do. The fuck? Why can't you just be negatively? How come you can't just keep your negative thoughts and stuff to yourself and move on? But we live in a society where free speech. So free speech is not necessarily the issue. It's us. If we're going to have free speech, then we have to recognize how to handle these encounters, these words. Now, as Eminem was talking about in his speech, talking about free speech and doesn't want to suffer any retribution, even though he aligned himself with the people who literally were doing that, hypocrites. Retribution in the matter of what? Ostracization? Because that's basically what has been going on these past few years. If you have an opinion that's different from the mainstream media or the mainstream, what is mainstream, what is mainly adopted or whatever, or the masses think is okay, you're ostracized. I remember when I was on X, formerly Twitter, and this was 2020 going right around the time. This is the time where I pissed people off because I talk about politics. So right around the time going to election, and I said something about Biden, I think. Maybe I just said something about the election in general. I don't even think I even said anything about, because oftentimes I won't even say that I'm for one or the other or something. I'll just I'm always going to make fun of both. I'm going to try to remain neutral as much as possible and not be biased so I can see all perspectives. I said something on X, formerly Twitter, and people messaged me and was like, oh, you weird looking motherfucker. I was like, God damn, what did I do? I forgot what it was about. I just know it was about politics around that time and stuff. And people just call me coon, call me Uncle Tom and stuff. Yeah, this happens a lot too with black people. If I say anything that goes against the so-called social accepted black narrative, we're going to talk about free speech. Let's bring this up too. If you go against anything that's culturally not accepted in the black culture or whatever, you're automatically an Uncle Tom, a coon, all types of shit. You're an Oreo. I done heard these names my whole life. I done heard these fucking names my whole life. Right? Family, friends, everybody throws little slick things out there. I'm paying attention. I don't fucking remember because I'm petty. Right? I don't fucking forget. I know these things. But I'm paying attention because it lets me know who they are in their psyche. And also, I'm not afraid to be myself. Because the individual is who I care about the most, which is hilarious because that is the real minority. You, me, the individual. That is the real minority. It's not your race. It's not your culture. It's not your ethnicity. It's not your nationality. It's not your stupid ass sexual orientation. No, you, the individual, is the real minority. So free speech is supposed to protect that minority of the most extreme, you, the individual. But the second you say something that doesn't align with certain groups or certain people and stuff, they'll come and attack you. But that's fine because that is free speech. But I'm confident and comfortable in who I am. Does it affect me to the point where I want to go off? No. I have learned to handle that over the years throughout the course of my life. Does it affect my emotions at times? It does. But not in the, oh, I'm hurt that they call me this. I'm more or less hurt from the perspective of looking at humanity as a species, as in, damn, why would you want to project that type of energy to another person that you don't fucking know? So because I said something that wasn't for Biden and the Democratic Party, but not necessarily for Trump and the Republican Party back in 2020 on social media, I got called all these types of fucking names. But that is free speech. And I'm okay with it. I will stand by it. I will always fight for that. But that is free speech with retribution. Because in that sense, no one says anything and protects the person or whatever because it goes against the mainstream adopted sense or the mainstream adopted ideology. But same year, 2020, if you said anything about COVID that you didn't want to take a vaccine, that you didn't want to wear the fucking mask, all of a sudden they're pulling your videos down. I had my videos get taken down when I started really making content and everything was in 2020, right? Because we're all inside the house. Remember, they told you couldn't go outside. Where was your free speech then? Both political parties, both everybody, all the fucking government told you could. Hey, it's not a good idea for you to go outside, but where's your free speech then? To voice your opinion and say, nah, fuck you, bitch, I am going outside. I mean, I did still, but right? Like, what is that? The retribution. Where was free speech without retribution when you didn't want to get the vaccine and they decided to take your fucking job away? Where was that at? Where they want us to think that we don't remember that shit. And then people will be like, oh, well, there's always consequences to it. No, there actually isn't. There's a choice being made, and then there's another choice being made, and another choice being made, and another choice being made. That the retribution, the consequences is based on us, the individual. I recently put up a post talking about the hurricanes and how, hey, weather modification and manipulation is a factual thing. I put up a fucking post talking about myself. It got taken down on a certain app twice. I posted it again from the CBS morning clip, got taken down yet again, in which a theoretical physicist, Mika Paku Pichu, whatever his fucking name is, he said it, not me. I didn't show my face at all, and it still was taken down and labeled misinformation. Is that not free speech with retribution? So there's no free speech on the apps. When it comes time to a moment of crisis, there's no free speech in this country. There's only limited speech. There's always only been limited speech. And that's what people actually want. People don't want free speech. People want to live in a fake illusion, kumbaya, bullshit ass reality. They want to only hear nice things, and they only want to hear the things in which they have been told to like and accept. They don't want to think for themselves. They don't want to question anything, mainly because people are afraid of being publicly, socially ostracized, made fun of, ridiculed, whatever. In the reality that we live in the society of America, one of the bravest things that you can do in these past few years is openly, adamantly, I don't feel like I said that right. Let's try this again. One of the bravest things that you can do is openly, and say it with confidence, whatever the fuck is on your mind. Wherever the fuck is on your mind. So in a society where there is no free speech but limited speech, if you have the guts, you have the fucking balls to say exactly what is on your mind, and you say it, give yourself a fucking pat on the back. Just give yourself a fucking round of applause, because most people will never say it. I know why people like my content. I know why people will follow me, because at the end of the day, they respect my honesty. They also respect the fact that I'm going to say some shit in which we're all fucking thinking, but no one wants to say, because no one wants to bear the weight of that responsibility, in a sense. No one wants to handle that pressure on their shoulders of saying that thing and dealing with some retribution. I'm going to say it because it needs to be fucking said. That's who I am. That's who I choose to be. That's my fucking, if you want to call it, a superpower. I care and don't care all at the same fucking time. That's also why I curse so much, because I know it fucks with people, and I think it's fucking hilarious. Because it's stupid. These words are stupid, right? They're fucking stupid. And I know all about spell words and energy, and yes, I know all those things. But I also understand energy manipulation as well. I also know how you can take back the power of certain things as well. It's hilarious. It's hilarious to me. And I just like to curse, to be honest with you. That's all it is. I just like it. But free speech, or is it limited speech? People want limited speech. People don't want freedom. People want to be controlled. They want to be told what to do. They want to be managed so they can go and think about wherever the fuck they think about in their little fucking lives. They don't want the responsibility. They don't want to hold themselves accountable. And until we break out of that and the individual takes full responsibility, holds himself accountable for their actions, for the things that they say, actually put thought into what they're doing and what they're saying, look more internally, we'll always have a fucked up society in which we are constantly ruled by people that we'll never have any type of relationship with. Free speech is that thing that helps keeps us all together and keeps us in balance. It is a check and balance. Because if I do something and you come at me and say, hey man, what the fuck are you doing? And you voice your opinion and you find a way to voice your opinion to offer another perspective that is objective, that is an objective perspective at the most part, or another perspective that counteracts my own perspective, and another person brings up another perspective, and another person brings up another perspective, and we're all starting to talk and communicate, and we find a way to resolve our conflict without any more verbal escalation, or definitely no physical escalation, no physical moments involved. That is a harmonious society. People think that we gotta live in harmony and we all gotta fucking agree. That's bullshit. That's stupid. That's stupid, because we're not gonna learn anything if we all agree. I intentionally have friends that I do not agree with. My closest best friends throughout my life, I don't agree with them. And that's intentional, because I want that other perspective. I want to hear what they have to say. I want to be challenged beyond my own thought, because it's going to help me think more about certain things. Now, I'm still going to come to the thought I was going to come to anyways, but now I have a full understanding of why, because I've seen all these different perspectives. But I love the challenge. A lot of people don't. A lot of people, are weak. Like I said over and over throughout this episode, and which you'll hear me oftenly say, people are weak. But people don't want the free speech. But free speech is necessary in a foundation, and is necessary to have, and part of the foundational structure in a society in which people are free. But people don't want to be free. People don't want a free society. I do. And that's what the autonomous society is about. That's what the autonomous civilization will be. Free society, free individuals, thinking openly, talking, communicating, conflict resolution, all those fucking things. Rest of you motherfuckers, y'all go off have your own shit where y'all keep this other shit. I ain't trying to be a part of it. I'm out.
Life's a gamble, I roll dice. Bet against me, I roll twice. I done beat the odds my whole life. I said I'm ready for
Talking
greatness.
shit, dang.